The rain poured harder as Ethan stood outside the small cafe, his shirt soaked and his eyes desperate. Inside, a woman he'd never met before sat quietly, sipping her coffee, lost in her thoughts. Something about her calmness pulled him in. Maybe it was the way she avoided eye contact with everyone, or how she seemed to be hiding from the world just like he was. Taking a shaky breath, he walked in, every step echoing the weight of his decision. "Please, can you pretend to be my wife for 1 week?" The words tumbled out before he could think twice. The woman froze, staring at him in shock. He quickly added, "It's for my daughter's birthday. She believes her mom's still around, and I can't break her heart again." For a moment, silence filled the air. The woman's fingers tightened around her cup as if she was holding back memories of her own. There was pain behind her calm face, a story untold. "You don't even know me," she said softly. "I don't need to," he replied, his voice trembling with sincerity. "I just need someone who can help her smile again." Outside, thunder rolled as if echoing their uncertainty. She looked out the window, torn between running away or stepping into someone else's world. And just as she opened her mouth to answer, a small voice called from the doorway, "Daddy," freezing them both in place. Ethan quickly turned toward the door, forcing a smile as his little girl ran in, her pink raincoat dripping onto the floor. "Daddy, you forgot my umbrella again," she giggled, her voice full of innocence that didn't match the storm between the adults. The woman watched quietly, her expression softening as the child climbed into her father's arms. There was something about the girl's bright eyes, something that tugged at the woman's heart, as if she reminded her of someone she once knew. Ethan tried to steady his voice. "Sweetheart, this is—" He paused, glancing at the stranger, unsure what to say. She hesitated, sensing his struggle, and finally whispered, "Clara." The name slipped out naturally, though it wasn't hers. The little girl smiled shyly. "Hi, Miss Clara." For a fleeting second, everything felt almost normal until the girl's next words cut through the calm. "Daddy, will Mommy come to my birthday this time?" Ethan froze, his eyes flickering with guilt and heartbreak. The woman looked down, realizing just how deep his pain ran. Outside, the rain continued to fall, washing the city in silver streaks. The woman stood, reaching for her coat. "You should go," she murmured, her tone distant. But as she turned to leave, the girl's small hand caught hers, warm and trusting. "Please don't go yet," the child whispered. "You remind me of her." The woman's breath caught. She didn't know why, but in that moment, walking away suddenly felt impossible. Clara hesitated, her fingers still wrapped around the little girl's hand. Something about the child's warmth made her chest tighten, like an old wound she thought had long healed. Ethan watched silently, unsure if he was crossing a line by asking a stranger to step into a life that wasn't hers. Yet, seeing the way his daughter's eyes lit up gave him hope he hadn't felt in years. They sat together for a while, an uneasy calm between them. Ethan finally spoke, his tone low and hesitant. "Her mother left when she was 3. I told her she was away for work, but she's been waiting every year, believing she'll come back." He rubbed his temples, guilt evident in his eyes. "This year, I promised her a family birthday. I just didn't know how to give her that." Clara looked at him, realizing this wasn't just about pretending, it was about healing something deeply broken. She had her own ghosts too, a failed engagement, a past she didn't talk about, and a feeling of being lost in a city that never noticed her. Outside the cafe, the rain had stopped, but the air still carried the weight of everything unspoken. Clara finally sighed. "I don't know if I can do this," she murmured, standing up. Ethan's heart dropped, but before he could reply, his daughter tugged on Clara's sleeve again. "Please," the girl whispered, eyes wide with hope. "Just until my birthday." Clara froze. Against all logic, her heart began to say yes. By the 3rd day, Clara found herself standing in front of Ethan's small home, pretending to be the woman she'd never met. Balloons and half-wrapped gifts filled the living room, evidence of a father doing everything he could to make his little girl's world feel whole. Ethan's daughter, Lily, followed Clara everywhere, asking questions about old memories she didn't have the heart to correct. Each time, Clara smiled through the ache in her chest, playing the part a little too well. Ethan tried to keep things simple. Just 1 week. No emotions, no pretending beyond the birthday, but the boundaries blurred faster than either expected. He found himself watching Clara laugh with Lily, the sound almost too natural, too familiar. Late at night, when the house went quiet, he'd catch himself wondering who she really was and what secrets she carried behind that steady smile. Clara, on the other hand, started noticing the small things: the photo frame turned face down on the mantel, the unopened letters in the drawer, and the way Ethan's voice softened whenever he spoke of his late wife. But what unsettled her most was the photograph she found accidentally in Lily's room, an old family picture with a woman who looked eerily like her. The discovery made her heart race. Was this all a coincidence, or something far deeper? That night, when Ethan caught her staring at the photo, their eyes met in tense silence. The truth hovered between them, heavy and unspoken, waiting to explode. Ethan's expression darkened when he saw the photo in Clara's trembling hands. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. The air in the room grew heavy, filled with questions that neither dared to voice. Clara finally whispered, "Who is she?" Ethan swallowed hard, his jaw tightening. "My wife, Emily." He hesitated, eyes flickering with something between pain and disbelief. Why do you look so much like her? Clara's pulse quickened. She stared at the photo again, same eyes, same quiet smile. It didn't make sense. I don't know, she murmured. Maybe it's just coincidence. But deep down, something in her refused to believe that. For the first time since she met him, Ethan stepped back, studying her like she was a puzzle he wasn't ready to solve. That night, Clara couldn't sleep. Lily's laughter echoed faintly from her room, while Ethan's footsteps paced the hallway. Then, just past midnight, Clara found an envelope slipped under her door. No name, no handwriting, just a single sentence on the front. You deserve to know the truth. Inside was an old hospital bracelet, worn and faded, and her own name printed on it. Her breath hitched. Memories she had long buried, flashes of a car crash, a child crying, a man's voice calling her name came rushing back. She stumbled toward Ethan's room, clutching the bracelet, fear and confusion swirling inside her. When he opened the door, his eyes widened in shock. Where did you get that? He whispered. Ethan's face went pale as he took the bracelet from Clara's shaking hands. This was found the night of the accident, he said quietly. The car crash that took Emily. His voice cracked as he looked at her. They told me she didn't survive. Clara's knees weakened, flashes of broken glass and sirens flashing through her mind. I woke up months later in a clinic, she whispered. They said I'd been found without ID. I didn't remember anything, just my first name. The truth hit them both like a storm. Clara wasn't a stranger, she was Emily, the wife Ethan thought he'd lost, the mother Lily had been waiting for. Tears blurred Ethan's vision as he reached out, but Clara stepped back, torn between disbelief and the pain of forgotten years. I don't even know who I am anymore, she whispered, trembling. How can I just be her again? Ethan's eyes filled with both hope and heartbreak. You don't have to remember everything, he said softly. Just remember that we loved you. Lily's small footsteps broke the silence as she peeked in, clutching her birthday balloon. Mommy, the word hung in the air, fragile and full of light. Clara's breath caught as she knelt, tears streaming down her face. Hi, baby, she whispered, voice trembling. But just as Ethan smiled, believing their broken family was whole again, Clara's gaze shifted to the window where a man stood watching from across the street. Her heart froze. She recognized him, and everything she thought she knew shattered once more. Clara froze as the man stepped closer, the streetlight revealing his face. It was the doctor from the clinic, the one who'd taken care of her after the accident. Ethan followed her gaze, confused, as the man raised a hand in reassurance. Emily, he called gently. You were in witness protection after the crash. You saw something that night. That's why your identity was hidden. We couldn't tell anyone, not even your husband. The truth came like a wave, pieces finally falling into place. Clara's accident hadn't just been a tragedy, it had been a cover to keep her safe. She looked at Ethan, tears mixing with relief and guilt. I wasn't gone by choice, she whispered. I was trying to come back to you. Ethan reached for her hand, his voice breaking. You're here now. That's all that matters. Lily ran into her mother's arms, and for the first time in years, the house felt whole again. The man nodded quietly before walking away, leaving them to rebuild what had been lost. In the days that followed, Clara began remembering small things, the sound of Lily's laugh, the way Ethan used to hum when he cooked. It wasn't perfect, but it was real. The past no longer haunted her. It simply reminded her how fragile love and time could be. As the sun set on Lily's long-awaited birthday, Clara smiled, holding Ethan's hand. Life had broken them once, but somehow, love had found its way home again.